Hey folks, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian nutritionist, and on this channel we like to talk about weight neutral focused approaches to health, as well as diving into scammy, in my opinion, unethical nutrition related businesses, products, mostly nutrition related MLMs, and other fear mongering nutrition claims and health claims. So in today's video we are chatting with Karina. I'm super excited that I got to sit down and really talk about her story and her experience with Herbalife. I think it is so important to talk to people who have been involved in MLMs in various ways as activists, so that we know how to talk to people, how to reach people, what got their attention, what helped them to kind of see the anti-MLM education light, and just to learn more about how we can approach activism to help people through that. I will leave Karina's information, her socials, linked in the description box down below. I think that she is doing so much important work, really creating anti-MLM content in general, but there is a necessary need for that in different languages, and the work that Karina, along with other content creators as well, have been able to do that in Spanish, to kind of bridge that gap, get that information out there more. I think that is really important. So be sure to check out her information in the description box. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please make sure you're subscribed, and I think that's it. All right, if that sounds good to you, let's go. Karina, I am so excited to chat with you. I think it is very important for us to really talk to people who have been part of different nutrition related MLM companies to try the products and did the programs. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story with us. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself before we really jump in and hear your story?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I am honored. I love your content.
Oh,
So thank
thank
you, thank you.
you.
And I
I love
am
yours.
Karina. Thank you. My name is Karina, and I am actually a bilingual content creator here on YouTube. And I just found my niche within this realm of content being translation. Now, it's been a second since I uploaded anything. I'm currently working on a video in Spanish for another MLM that's tied to supposedly weight loss, which is Elamir right now with that strip.
Yes.
So I'm working on
The
that really
cheese.
hard. It's just I have very limited time. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I translate and I draw a lot of inspiration and also a lot of information from other fellow creators who have been so gracious and supportive of me. And so that's
Mhm.
who I am.
Awesome. So we're talking about Herbalife today and your experience with them. When is your first, when do you remember first hearing about them and your experience with that?
Gosh, I was probably in my teens, probably like 13, 14.
Mm.
Just because I said that weird, 14, because my grandma, my mom has a very large Mexican family. She has 9 siblings. So it's a lot of people. And just my grandmother, they have always been very much you don't want to be too gordita, you don't want to be too
Yeah.
full, you don't want to be too this, you don't want to be too that. And so they've always like resorted to the quick fix, kind of
Mm.
like Herbalife. And
Yeah.
so I remember
Mhm.
being around like waist trainers since I was like 12, 13. The whole Herbalife. There was another one at one point, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. Um, but definitely just them stressing over their appearance all the time. And as a chunky child, that was always very much you got to put on a faja, so like a waist trainer or like some sort of shapewear. No
Mhm.
boy is gonna want you like this. And then so eventually, my one of my aunts, my mom's sister, opened up or like co-opened up a shop with one of her friends. And at that time, I was living with her. I believe I was 16, 15,
Okay.
16, 17, because I did it for a minute, like for a good while. And the whole time she had the club, basically, I was living with her. And so I remember just going in the mornings and the afternoons and having the shake and the protein bar and the tea and the vitamins and all that stuff. Like
As a
anything she would
teenager,
take.
that's
Yes.
a lot of supplements for an adult, but yeah.
So basically, anything she would take, she'd ask me if I wanted it too. And because I saw her having results, not my little kid mind, not knowing that, like, well, she's a grown woman and, like, she's always been thin, on the thinner side and whatever. Okay, I'm gonna take it because I want to look like her. That was like my thing. And it was very much like they would compliment me on like my progress, my family members, my relatives. I don't, it's weird, but they
Encouraging
would
you
be
to
like,
continue
yeah,
on.
you look so good, oh my gosh, like, look at you, you're doing that and this and that. And then I had some heartbreak with Herbalife. I entered one of their challenges and I worked really hard. I starved myself, basically. I
Tell
would
me
do, like
about
I
the
said,
challenge. Like, what was that just going on at the store?
yeah, well, as far as I know, it goes on in every nutrition
Mhm.
club, or at least all the ones that I have been to, because they're always trying to like reel you in.
Right.
And so for me, it was a 30-day challenge, and then you would put like in a bowl or like in a thing, $25 to enter, 20 or $25 to enter, and then however many people will come together. They usually had a requirement about like 10 to 20 people, and then they would have like a first and second place. And their recommendations for that challenge and to get like the best results or whatever was to have the shake and the tea in the morning, have your protein bar for a snack, and then have one regular meal, which was pretty much just like a salad. And then in the afternoon, replace your meals again with the shake and the tea and all that stuff. And I was in the challenge for 30 days. I lost a stupid amount of weight. I
Mhm.
think it was like 30-ish pounds in 30 days. And
From
I was
eating.
starving myself. I didn't want to eat anything. So instead of doing that one meal that I was allowed to do, I was doing green juice. So like anything that was green would go
Oh
in the blender and I
no.
would drink that. Like a big old one, and then that was it. That was all I allowed myself because I wanted the result and I wanted to win and I
And you
wanted to
were,
be
were you
validated.
16, 17 at that time with
Yeah,
the challenge?
16.
Okay.
16. And then
Doing the
so
challenge.
yeah, so technically I won, but then the day of the last weigh-in, one of the friends or the cousins or something of the co-owner of the club with my aunt came in and said, "Oh, well, I've been doing it. I just haven't came to the Zumba class or anything because I don't have time." But I won by like a smidget of a pound. And that was my first like something's not clicking for me, like something's not right here.
And they chose the winners based off of just how much they lost, right? Like that
How
was the
much weight they
metric.
lost, yeah. They did like inches too, I believe. They did
Yeah.
inches as well, but it was more so the weight.
Mm. And that person who ended up winning, like, did that was there like prize money or like the
Yes,
prize,
so
from the bowl?
yeah, the price from the bowl, I think it was 70-30. So like
Okay.
whatever, however much was in there, first place would get that, and then second place would get the other one. And I think I don't remember for sure because this was a minute back. I'm 33 now. So I was like 16.
Um,
I believe I got second place, if I'm not mistaken.
okay.
But this was a while back. But yeah, that's basically how they split it. And
Gotcha.
so yeah, I did that challenge and I kept going and I lost a lot of weight. But then as soon as my aunt like dropped the whole club thing, of course we both gained the weight back. Like this.
How long did she
Because
have the club after that?
I want to say still about a year and a half, because she had it total for like 3 years.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were in that moment after the challenge. Did you continue on the products, the shakes, the drinks, snacks?
I think I would only do the stuff in the morning just because I've never been a
Okay.
breakfast person. Like I've never been a breakfast person. And to me it was like, okay, well, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? So I was like, I gotta get something in my body.
When she still had the club open, did you start to see, other than the challenge and the results of that, with the other person winning just barely, were there any other like red flags for you that popped up? before moving forward?
Yeah, definitely that. I was actually I was kind of like a helper for the shop for my aunt, and I never really got paid. Like it was
Oh
just
no.
you help around clean a little bit and whatever. I don't think she did it out of malice. I think she was just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, and I would feel kind of like obligated to do so because she was giving me free product or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Family.
also really encouraged me to, because I was really good at the Zumba at the time. Now I cannot catch a step for the life of me. But at that time, I guess because I was younger or whatever, I was really good at it. And so they started encouraging me to like learn the steps and stuff so that I could give the class and then they wouldn't have to hire a teacher. So that was another thing. But I think that's more of a like a independent sort of thing. I don't know if it works that way in every club, but I do know of other clubs because I have a friend that currently has a club still. I have a friend who has a club, and she that's actually how I met her. So I used to run a laundromat, and she would rent out the space next to us. And what's it called? So that's how I met her because she had the club. It's been about 7 years, I want to say, since the last time that I not that since I met her. I'm sorry, I'm like done.
You're
So it's
good.
been about 7 years since I met her, and she still has a club. She just moved the
Oh,
location, and so from what I understand from her club,
mhm.
they she'll rent out a space of booth to her recruits, and then they don't get paid or anything. They just have to get their own clientele, and it gets very catty if they touch each other's customers. Like it gets
Yeah.
super like you can't, don't you dare give anybody a snack bar. Don't do it. It's gonna be a whole mess.
Oh
So
no.
I've definitely seen things outside of that specific club where I
Uh-huh.
started technically. It's just a whole mess. Just the whole company is a mess. And I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
it's encouraged from the top down for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you start to kind of look at anti-MLM content and kind of see the lies of Herbalife? Not even talking about the diet culture side of things, but the MLM structure. And then we'll hit on the diet side in a little bit.
So actually, a couple of years ago, it's going to be a couple of years already. No, yeah, a couple of years when this whole panorama started, right? I got a Hey Hun message, and it was like, "Do you want to join a hair care company?" And I was like, "I don't know."
Monet?
And then yeah, the way they made it sounded good. And I remember asking my husband, "Hey, what do you think about this? It sounds good, right?" And he's like, "Don't do it. That's a scheme." Just like Princess House, because his mom was in Princess House for like the longest time. And like my house is now currently full of Princess House because when she passed, they gave it all to me. So so that's how serious she was about her MLM. And
Wow.
so my husband was the first one to say, "No, baby, don't do it. I don't think you should." Like, and I was like, "Okay, fine, I won't do it." And then one of my friends joined. Well, I ran into one of Kiki Chanel's videos, and
Mm.
I started watching the Beachbody ones, and I was like, "Wait, this is a diet thing, right? Holy cow." And so I searched it. Is Herbalife and MLM? Sure enough, it was. And then
Mm.
my friend, one of my friends joined Monet. So I started like looking into it, trying to let her see the light, be like, "Look, you might want to look at this, you might want to read
Mhm.
this." It was the whole fight. And then I was just like, "No, I'm gonna get her out of this." And then that's how I started like researching more into it. We ended up like having a little bit of a tussle. We're good now. We've been friends since like '01. That's like my bestie for
Mm.
life. And so it was hard, but I felt brokenhearted that this company was taking her away. And that's when I started looking into it. And then when you keep, you move things around a little bit, and
Mhm.
it just gets worse and worse. And for me, that's what Herbalife, Beachbody, and now Elamir are. Like, how dare you give people the hope, with like the hope of losing all this weight so fast, like a quick
Right.
fix. Like it's just so toxic. And as someone who grew up in that very toxic diet culture, it triggers me so much that I was just telling Aaron this. I just started going back to Zumba, just so I can move my body.
Mm.
It's at the same location where my aunt used to own, but there's completely different people that run it.
Oh, wow.
And I started going there because my mom has friends that go there. They don't sell Herbalife there, they sell another one. I had the hardest time the first day that I went. I just had like so much anxiety. It was so triggering for me to even try to do the Zumba class. Why? I don't know. I know it makes no sense, but then it
Yeah.
also does make sense. You know, it just brought
Mhm.
back so much stuff. And I told my mom, I don't think I can keep doing this. I have kept going because it's like the one thing me and my mom do together. We
Mm.
don't consume any of the products my mom does. It hasn't really ever been of the. She never really consumed Herbalife either.
Oh,
Only I
okay.
think for to support my aunt and stuff, but she never really like got. My mom has always been the type of lady who, when you get your results, let me know and then I'll decide. Like my mom has
Mm.
very much been a no. So I feel like that's one of the
Right.
reasons why I have personally been falling for an MLM, because she was always like, if it's too good, if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is. That's my mom right there in a nutshell. So
That's good.
yeah, definitely just the more you move things around is just like so toxic. The diet culture, the
Mm-hmm.
just how hard they push their products, the damage that some of those products have allegedly done to other people. I have a
Mm-hmm.
friend who also does content in Spanish. Her name is Vanessa, and she's had a lot of uh receding is that what it's called? Remaining like side effects from the products. Like she has like
Mm.
kidney and liver damage from taking the products for so long.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's terrible. Like
Yeah.
I luckily didn't have any side effects or like long term that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I know of, but I've definitely seen people be affected by these types of MLMs, specifically all MLMs, but specifically these types.
Yeah. Herbalife is just ginormous. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you have your mom and your husband there that are kind of like a
Yeah.
little, sound like a little bit more, I guess, skeptical on those kind of things. Yeah. With your, I know you had talked about your childhood and just kind of hearing these comments and then moving into teen years, which it's such a, I mean, teenagers are so strong, but when you're talking about like dieting and how they have just body image, what they're building those foundations, and it's just so putting them on a diet at that time, it's just such a fragile age for those kind of things and building body image, healthy body image, and a healthy relationship with food, and movement. And when you mentioned that Zumba and kind of those feelings going through them now, I think that's a really big reminder that we need to have this kind of like trauma informed fitness, trauma informed approach. And these places, providers, trainers, personal trainers, dietitians, nutrition coaches, everybody having that is so important so that we don't have those kind of triggering moments. And yes, and not pair them together with an MLM. I know so many different small gyms will kind of tie it together with an MLM. Hmm. Were you on other diets like as a child, not Herbalife, before you did Herbalife as a teenager?
Um, well, my mom was always very much, and she still is a don't eat after
Mm.
6 kind of person. Like, just
Oh.
because you don't want to get a tummy ache, you don't want to be too full, you don't want to not be able to go to sleep.
Mm.
She's always been very, uh, yeah, very like let's portion out your food kind of lady. But that's
Mhm.
because I don't blame her, honestly, because that's how she was raised. My
It's the
grandmother's still like
culture.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
It's a
grandmother's still
big
like that.
family.
I've seen like we again, it's a very large family, and I've seen little 10, 11-year-old girls talking about I'm too fat, I need to lose weight,
Mhm.
starving themselves, not watching, and I'm just like, you are 10. You are
Right.
10 years old. But then I remember being in their shoes as well. Like they can never see you eat a candy because are you sure you want to eat that? They
Mhm.
can't see you get seconds because are you sure you want to eat that? Like, are you
Mhm.
sure you want to eat that? No boy is gonna want you when you look like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, surprise, shoddy. I'm married with a kid and he doesn't care about my pounds. Like, it's the
Yeah.
wildest thing.
And if they
And
did,
now,
then they're not worth it.
yeah. And now the thing that I have seen as a grown up in the same kind of environment, I don't really like mess with them people too much because they have like messed me up clearly.
Mm.
But the what I have seen the couple of times that I have like been around is like, oh, you saw so and so, she just gave birth and she just snapped back. You would never be able to tell that she had a baby. And I'm just like,
Why do we care? Why do we even notice that?
why is this even a conversation that we are having
Right.
right now?
Yeah.
Like,
Doesn't matter.
I
No.
don't know about anybody else, but when I had my baby, my main concern was keeping that tiny human alive.
Yep.
I did not care if I got to shower or eat or anything. I just needed to keep this baby alive.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares about how you look? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I can't. And right now, I'm trying to get my health back on track, and not so much because of what they think. I don't care about that. Like, I love myself for who I am and what my body has done for me. And this is something that I've mentioned before, and I feel like a lot of women, it takes us time to get to that point. But after I pushed out a 9-pound baby, I was like, my body is incredible. My body
Love
did that.
that.
And so I felt so powerful. I felt like just so amazing, and I haven't stopped feeling that way since. And it has a lot to do with my husband as well, because no matter how
Good.
I think I look that day, he thinks I am a Victoria's Secret model. Like, he's my main cheerleader. He never lets me slip and think, "Ooh, today I don't feel that." No, no.
Mm,
And he
good
has a lot
man.
to do with that. Yeah, so I'm very lucky in that way. And I don't know, it's just the whole situation of wanting to meet other people's standards, and
Mm-hmm.
that I just don't vibe with. So I push really hard for body positivity, and let's clear it up because I always get crap for it. I'm not encouraging you to be fat or unhealthy, whatever
Oh,
that means. I'm in,
glorifying.
yes,
Yeah,
I'm
what everybody
encouraging
says.
you to love yourself for where you're at, and it's okay to want to change. Like me, I just said I just am tiptoeing into my health journey again, and not because of what anybody else thinks or would for looks or whatever. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it because I want to be able to keep with my toddler. Okay, he's 3, that boy runs fast. That's my thing. And also, I want to have another baby. And
Mhm.
when I got pregnant with my son, I was at a very healthy weight. I was weightlifting. So I was taking care of myself a lot more, which is something that you can't necessarily do all the time with children.
Yeah,
So that's
they take a lot
where
of
I'm
time.
currently at right now. Yeah, that's where I'm currently at right now, but it's definitely taking me a lot of time, and there is a lot of triggers. And I'm so sorry, Erin. Erin is so like, it's the I'm just like, Erin, and she's like, it's okay, feel your feelings, you got this, it's all right.
Yeah.
Maybe step away for a second. She's been great to me through this
Oh,
journey. Yeah.
it's always good to have somebody who it's just kind of that cheerleader and that reminder
Mhm.
whenever you are feeling down and yeah, you need support from all different areas,
Yeah.
spouse, friends. Yeah. That one of my favorite things about anti-MLM activism is just the connections that have
Yes.
been built. When did you decide you were consuming the content? It's funny because Kiki Chanel, that was the first anti-MLM video that I saw.
Mhm.
um, when did you decide to start creating the content, and was there any kind of stress around that? Did it, harm in your relationship with any of your family?
So I think I kind of started dipping my toes into it when the whole WFAP thing was going down last December or last
Oh,
September, whenever it
there
was.
was so much going on with that. I hardly even
Mhm.
understand it
Yeah,
now.
I had
I
like
just
some
kind of put
people
that
coming to
aside.
me and saying, "Hey, I know you're posting about anti-MLM, and I found this out. I got a hold of this." So I kind of just started reaching out to other creators and be like, someone sent me this. I don't know if it's true, but it might be helpful. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go."
Oh,
And then I remember I watched a Deanna Mims video, and she was
love her.
like, she was reading a horror story, and someone was asking her, "Do you think it's okay for me to create content in Spanish? I just feel like I wouldn't get any support for it." And she was like, "Yeah, do it. Do it. You have 100% my support." And then I think Erin and JJ were doing a live, and somebody asked them about Spanish content. They were like, we really wish that there was more Spanish content. So I reached out to them privately, and I was like, what do you think? Like, I've been watching, I still don't know everything about everything, but I'm very interested in giving this information to my people because it's not accessible to them. And they were like, yes, whatever you need, we got you. And then I think I had a conversation with Chelsea as well. She was like, take whatever you need from my videos, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I was just like, I'm doing this. I am doing this. And so I started a little bit with English content, and then I started slowly going into Spanish. Right now, my main focus, like actual edited videos, are going to be Spanish videos. I'm trying to work in some English subtitles to make them more inclusive, but I'm also going to keep up with my English content because that's my larger audience. And I did have a problem with a family, not family, but with my friend that I was talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Someone actually invited me onto their IG live, and she happened to catch it as I was talking about her. I wasn't saying anything mean or anything. I was just saying I felt like she was a little too deep in. She didn't want to listen or anything like that. I don't feel like I came across disrespectful, but to her I did. She took it as very much as a personal attack. And she reached out to me a couple of days later, and she was like, hey, I happened to catch the live, and just so you know, I feel like this and like this and like this. And I don't know where to go from here. And I was like, well, did you make up your mind already, or do you want to have a conversation? And she FaceTimed me, like immediately she FaceTimed me. And she was like, what do you think, that I wasn't going to want to talk to you? And I was like, well, it kind of sounded that way. And she was like, no, I want to talk to you. I want to have a conversation. We were on the phone for about an hour and a half. We like cried. I gave her my reason. She gave me hers. Of course, I heard a lot of did you know that independent T-Mobile people get like a commission from when you pay your bill at their location?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, but they pay rent. But did you know that like these products have these chemicals and blah blah blah? And I was like, well, did you know that Monet has this chemical? And then did you know? So we had like a whole debate. And then at the end, I was just like, listen, I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. We have been friends for 20 years. You are my bestie for life. I'm not going anywhere. So can we just agree to disagree? And I'll be supportive of you, obviously, without buying products or anything like that. And you can support me or not. That's your choice. And she was like, no, I actually really appreciate what you're doing, because there's a lot of this information that I did not know. So we parted ways, agreeing to disagree. Obviously, our relationship, I feel like it did suffer. It's not the same, but we're not at a completely like a standstill, or we didn't just completely stop talking. But it definitely has been a journey. And now I think she's in Princess House. Like she dropped out of Monet, and now I think she's in Princess House. And I've been meaning to have a conversation with her about it, but I know we're not gonna agree, so I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, jumping around is something that a lot of people experience, but the short life of a distributor, as a distributor, hopefully will work in just a favor of y'all's relationship. Kind of sees, similar red flags from one MLM to another and everything. So I know there are so many Herbalife places around here, around the whole nation, but I'm in El Paso right now, and there's just there's so many, and it's hard to see new ones pop up when you're driving by and seeing a new small little like restaurant and being like, oh, that sounds interesting, let me look it up. No. It's Herbalife. I think it's really helpful or important that you are reaching primarily Spanish speaking people. That is such an underserved community when you're talking about anti-MLM content. That's something that I really wish that I could do. Unfortunately, like with my parents, they grew up knowing Spanish, and even my grandparents, like they only speak Spanish. And I was never able to have a conversation with them because I wasn't taught Spanish, and that's something that I think if like I'm still trying to connect with, and I can speak a little bit but
the point is that you're trying.
I still have my roots, my connection, but I think it's really awesome that you are using that skill and reaching that audience. It's so needed.
Yeah, and it is important because even my mom is someone who has always been like, if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is. When I started telling her, Mom, listen, you don't know the beginning of the end of it, at the beginning of it, she was like, hey, what? She was like, no way. And I'm like, yes. And so now that's like a thing that brought us closer together. Me and my mom have always had like a very, again, because of the toxic culture and everything, we've always had a very rocky relationship, and this has definitely brought us closer together. Especially after the situation that happened to me. I don't know if you know about that, but I actually got doxxed by another creator.
Oh yeah.
She was like, you have two options. You either quit or you face this head on and you have my full support. I'm talking childcare, I'm talking like experiences from our family members, whatever you need. And she was like, do not let this BS defeat you. You're bigger than that, and you're gonna get past this just like you got past the other situation that, you know, got triggered by this situation. And so it's definitely brought us closer together, and it's wild to me because I've been trying to do that for years. So this is what brought me and my mom closer together, and I am just so happy about it. Like, it's incredible, and just hearing some of her stories that I unlock while talking to her, I'm like, wait a minute, what? You said what now? And it's just it's a good time. It's a good time with my mom now, having conversations. We don't always talk about just this, but she's always like, so how's it going? How's it going? How are you doing? So now what company are you looking at now? Told her about LME, she lost her mind. She was like, I hope nobody falls for that BS. And I'm like, Mom, people are already falling for it. So
people who said that they would never join MLM and there's some wild distributors and a lot of scammy stuff coming out of LME. And I think it's really cool how you're able to share an anti-MLM content with your mom, and even recognizing where some of the dieting culture and the beliefs, where they're coming from, and not putting that blame on her, but just seeing it as part of like the bigger issue. Really, if we're taking on diet culture, we need to understand the bigger issue and recognize the people who are like the reason why it's an issue versus the victims of it, and all of that. So important. So
and there's definitely room for change, I think, because for my mom, she has always been the don't wear shorts, don't let your clothes wear you. My mom has always been that doesn't look good on you, don't wear that. Like, you have too much this, too much that, or too little this, too little that to wear that. Like, she definitely, I grew up hearing that all the time. Now I walk around with her and like go out places and I'm wearing shorts and a crop top, and she's like, I like that. And I'm like, where was this when I was young? So it's definitely so it's definitely like it's possible to change the point of view. I think there's a lot of, oh well, they're set in their old ways, blah blah blah. No, my mom was set in her old ways, and look at her now. Like, she is so body positive. She is so encouraging. She's like, do whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you feel better. Like, and I love that. And if she can change her mind, because trust me, my mom is stubborn, I can change anybody else's mind. Like, I know that for a fact. And that's why I do it, because I feel like some people are just lacking the information. And that's ultimately why I'm here, to give them the information that someone else should have given them before they joined, or before they thought about joining, or whatever.
If you were to just see or be able to talk to a little Karina or someone else who's in that situation, 16 years old, wanting to join a 30-day program, what would you tell them?
I'd probably give her a big hug. I'd give her a big hug and tell her that everything's going to be okay, that someone is going to love her for exactly who she is, and that her parents and the adults around her are not at fault, because that's just how they were raised. Because I definitely held a lot of, I don't want to cry, I'm such an emotional person, but I definitely held a lot of resentment. I remember that's actually what started my ED. My ED has been binging. because I knew I couldn't eat around people without them having something to say. So I wouldn't eat around anyone. And then once everyone went to bed, there was a point in time where a lot of us were living in my grandmother's house. She has a giant house. And so I would wait for everyone to go to sleep to binge. As anything that would cross my path, I would eat it. I didn't even care what it was. I just wanted to not be hungry. And so I would tell her that it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to feel her feelings, but that the adults around her don't know any better, and that she's gonna be all right. That she's gonna be okay. I think that's the main thing.
Do you feel like Herbalife triggered that binging eating disorder?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I've been doing it I think since I was like 9 or 10. But then whenever I was losing weight and stuff, I was like, well, I'm hungry now. And it was definitely a binging thing. And after like I realized what was going on, and I started looking into EDs, and I started hearing other people's stories, I recognized that my ED is triggered by stress and by unwanted feelings. So if I have a fight with my husband now, sometimes I immediately just want to eat all the sweet stuff. Like I just want to sit down and eat a whole cake. I don't anymore because I know how to control myself, but it definitely did intensify. Herbalife did intensify that, like that trigger for me. And again, just the whole experience that I have with Herbalife still triggers me to this day, which is why I am very slowly making changes in my diet, in my activity, and I'm just being very kind with myself, which is something I haven't done before. And again, I'm lucky that my mom is so encouraging, my husband's so encouraging, my followers, they hype me up all the time, and I love them for that. And that is why also I feel like I go out of my way to be like, look, this is what I'm wearing today. You can see my fat, but that's okay. You know, like feel yourself, wear the outfit. Yeah, wear the outfit, wear the crop top, wear the shorts, whatever makes you happy, you go and you feel yourself. And you are the baddest bee there ever was. Like that's why I do it, because as much as I help them, they have helped me. And so I find it very important to just share the message and share my story. That's why I talk about it, because I've gotten you cannot stop talking about yourself. Listen, I want to talk about things that I've been through because I want them to help other people. That's why I'm here. Important. And if you don't want to listen to it, that's completely fine. That's your choice to make. But I'm sharing things like this to keep other people from falling into it, or to let them know that they're not alone if they're in the same spot where I'm at right now or where I was at.
I love that. And just an example for this, that the example that you're leading for your son, that's huge too. So, well, thank you so much for just sharing. We've gone through a lot. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? And if not, then I'd love to know, or let people know how they can get in contact with you or where to follow you.
Yeah, well, I have my YouTube, which is just Kareenah.Hurtado23, and then my Instagram is the same thing. All I want to let you guys know is that it's okay for us to make mistakes or like to be misguided, as long as you're willing to learn. Be kind with yourself as you're changing, and love yourself for where you're at. And it's okay to want to change. It's okay to want to improve. I mean, it's only normal, but just be kind to yourself and don't join an MLM. Don't join an MLM. It's not healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for your pockets. It's not healthy for your mental health. It's not healthy for your emotional health. It's not healthy for you physically either. So I think that's it. And my DMs are always open. I like to mention this every time that I do like a collab or anything like that. My DMs are always open. I'm more than happy to talk to you guys or just hear you out if that's what you need. And yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so that concludes the interview. Please make sure you're subscribed, and remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.